Now let's take a look at sewing an applique. The key feature in here is how we program the machine to stop after a color, as well as programming the actual offset. So we're going to start as normal, approach the machine, press number 1 so that we put needle 1 over the needle plate. We are going to now call in our design. So we're going to go in, input the design to the memory, and I just put it on here so it should be on the last page, and it is. It's called D-App for an applique. Okay, now the next thing we're going to do is I'm going to call it up as the active design. So I'm going to select the design. That's the right one. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is we are going to assign the colors. So we're going to go into our color assignment, and we're going to go to our set order. We're going to go to color 1. Now, the way this design sews, it's going to sew an outline on the fabric so I know where to place the applique, and that outline happens to be the first color. That's the first thing to sew. So right here, I wanted to tell it that after it sews that outline to stop and offset. So before I put in my color number, I want to make sure I hit this button in the center. Notice it turns red in the background. That's telling me that the machine is going to have a stop at that position. Now we're going to sew color 2, then color 2 again, and then color 14. So now we've assigned the stop and we've assigned our colors. Now I'm going to put my centering hoop on just to make life a little bit easier for me. And I want to make sure that I'm centered right over this X. Okay. Now we're going to put our actual garment. Now in this case I'm doing this on a piece of felt, but this could just as easily be a sweatshirt or a jacket. There we go. Now we need to go into our home function. We need to set our start point. And we need to make sure it's going to fit. So we're going to do our contour trace. Okay, and that fits perfectly fine. And now we need to tell it to offset. So we're going to go into the embroidery status function. We are going to go down to our offset position set. And it tells us what to do. We're going to move to the offset and then press the enter button. So to offset, we're just going to move the frame out. Now, what really is offsetting? Offsetting is where the machine is automatically going to move the frame to put the applique down. You'll notice when it was in its normal position, the embroidery head's in the way. Now, this is clear of the embroidery head, making it much easier to line up your applique. Now, we hit enter, and now we just start the design. It's going to run the outline stitch first. stop and trim and move to the offset position. We now take our applique, line it up inside the outline, because the outline is the exact shape of the applique. Now, when you press down on this, you don't want to just push on the fabric. It's always a good idea to support it with your hand underneath, so you're not going to push the garment right out of the hoop. And now we hit start and let it finish sewing. Now it's going to do what we call the tack down or border stitch. And now it sews the finished edge. Now the real advantage of doing appliques, besides the fact that they look great, we typically charge a little extra to do them, but most importantly, it cuts down on our stitch count, so we can sew these designs much faster because we're not sewing as many stitches. When the design finishes, it again offsets. Now we simply remove our hoop. Just shift it a little bit on me. And there is our finished applique. One thing you want to keep in mind, the offset function that we set into this design is now stored with this design. So unless you copy this design to another room, which is one of the functions you have, or call in a different design, you are going to have that offset function assigned with it.